I've been complaining for a long time about the state of the platforms, because the platforms kind of sucked our possibility to have people be in our websites. So unless you have a really, really big website, powerful with a lot of traffic, most people, they spend their days in the platform. They're going to be on TikTok, they're going to be on Snapchat, they're going to be on Instagram, they're going to be on YouTube, they're going to be on Twitter, they're going to be on Facebook. And that's most of the people on the internet. Of course, there's a bunch of other platforms, there's a bunch of other, but most people prefer, even in China, people prefer being on Baidu, on the Tencent platforms, on what's the name of the green one? Forgot, I'm forgetting now. Let me see, what's the name of the green one? WeChat. They're gonna prefer being on those platforms rather than going to your own website. And in a way, as I said before, the deal for that was we give you our content. In exchange, not only you help us monetize our content, but your AIs is finding us people. So I come here, I'm live. It doesn't cost me nothing other than my internet bill and my electricity bill. I don't have to pay to store all and to transfer all these data that you guys are watching. And in exchange, I give 30% of the money I make to YouTube, and they tell you guys when I'm here. And it works until the platforms start censoring us, or when the platforms start deciding who is. Everything was going fine, more or less, until we went from rules that are rules of society, which is no racism, no apology of crimes, and things that are already in as a society, we already decide that those things are crimes. So other than that, freedom of speech to everybody and freedom to agree and disagree and to have different types of opinion, and even to believe in all kind of, all kind of theories. And that's when a lot of people don't feel like their freedom of speech is being respected on the platforms. And they are private platforms, they do what they want. The problem is they sucked all the audience in the world. And most people, if you want to be heard, you're going to go on Twitch, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to be on Facebook, you're going to be on all these big platforms, because that's where the audience is. So how do you do now? How do you do now if the platforms where you are trying to express yourselves make you understand that some messages are good and some others, we don't accept them on the platforms? Is it free expression? Is it a real freedom of speech? Because the freedom of speech is the freedom to say something and to be able to face the consequences. But some people so consequences would be a fine, right? Or something. But on the platforms, if your channel get removed, let's say you have 1 million subscribers and you say something and the people from the platform don't like the content or whatever you're talking about, the subject, or where you're taking the subject, you might arrive to a point where instead of telling you, hey, there's a problem with this subject, can you, or maybe there's a judgment, etc., like in the real world, because those are private platforms, they can just decide, because they're trying to save their business, because Coca-Cola or Nike will say, oh, how come this person is saying those things, right? You might arrive in a point where they can tell you, we are banning your channel, we are removing your possibility to talk to the 1 million people that you built for 10 years, 15 years. You can just get your channel removed for breach of service, right? And so, yeah, listen, you can go and talk to everywhere else, right? You can go back to your website, you can do all these things, but the problem is most of the people, they are on the social networks. So if the social networks are places where you are not free to talk about everything you want, you end up being in a situation where you are, I would say, you are kind of censored, especially if you decided to abandon working on building your audience offline or off the platforms on your website. And all these people, the only place they see you is on YouTube, for example. So I know a few people, for example, I don't know if you guys remember. So I don't know the reason. She never told me, and every time I ask her, she just tell me she's fine and she's not online anymore. But Naturi Ben, who we had the pleasure to receive here, one day all of a sudden she just disappeared from social. YouTube channel, every live show she was doing, she had like 8,000 to 10,000 to 20,000 people watching her live, giving donations, generating a lot of income. And one day, either from her decision or from the decision of the platform, her channel just disappeared from YouTube. Poof. And all these people who were watching her, in the beginning, everybody was asking themselves, what are we going to do? I should call her actually to ask her, sis, what happened? But all these people who used to come and listen to her opinions, and her opinions were different. All these people, they were just left with nothing as they came to the platforms. So those who know her offline, who have her number, who come to her events, maybe that's where they can continue to have the conversations with her. But a lot of people who were just finding her on YouTube, they just were sent by the algorithms to different places, different people with maybe a message that the platform deems acceptable. But this is problematic because the people from the platforms decided that to protect you from bad information, bad ideas, and actually just to protect their business, because the politicians and society is trying to make the platform responsible for the bad shit you guys would listen to. So if you listen to something and it's something that is not recommended, for example, when we were having conversation about COVID, for example, in the conversation about COVID-19, about the coronavirus, etc., a lot of YouTubers, they don't even want to pronounce those words, coronavirus, because they know that the AIs that are, listen, everything I'm saying live, there's AIs that are turning my voice into, they understand my voice. You know, it's the same way when you talk to Siri or Google. They have been trained for years and years and years in recognizing our voice. So those robots, they know if I say those words, automatically my video gets, it doesn't get demonetized, but it gets less monetized straight away. So if now that I pronounce the word, so maybe it doesn't take so early. But if I go to the YouTube studio, let me see, I'm going to check. I'm just going to do a test. There you go. Look, if I go to YouTube studio, my live is not even finished. But look, sorry. My live is not even finished, but if you look here, look what it says. Limited. Your video is running limited or no ads due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. It remains fully playable and etc. etc. But can you imagine? So it means that after every live, I have to go here in the monetization tab and tell them, please, I request a review. I confirm this video, blah, 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 because I didn't say nothing. I didn't say I don't believe, I didn't say whatever, but those platforms, because there's too much videos, they have to protect themselves from advertisers. And the problem is the advertisers are being, they receive a pressure not only from politicians, but also from the advertisers. Those platforms, they have Coca-Cola, Nike, all these platforms who are more caving to a left audience and a very aggressive woke audience, progressive audience, that is saying that it's your fault if people are believing crazy stuff. It's the fault of the platform. And so the platforms are acting as if us watching videos, we are idiots and we are not able to form our own opinions after watching content from these people or those people. And a lot of people, when they were talking about COVID and a year and a half ago, when we were really in the middle of it and people were dying left and right, etc., a lot of people, when they were saying, I believe this came from a laboratory, or when they were saying, oh, I don't believe in the vaccine, or I'm scared to take it, or etc., etc., there have been a great push to censor because of the world safety. That was the excuse. There's been a great push to prevent anybody to give not just conspiracy theories, but even just doctors saying informed alternative ideas or suspicions, or just, and the world went crazy. And we are watching it right now unfold when it comes now to the war that is going on right now, where you only hear the message from the Occident. And if you say anything that doesn't go that direction, or if you say the same thing everybody was saying about Ukraine 4 months ago, you talk about all the problems that are plaguing this country, etc., etc., and you just say, for example, this is how we got here. This didn't start 2 months ago. It started 8 years ago. It started before. It started after the Cold War. If you just try to have a conversation to explain to people, you might receive a message saying that your channel is saying false information, and boom, your channel is removed. It's not the video is removed. It's not this video is demonetized. You risk having your whole channel removed. Same thing on Twitter, same thing on a lot of platforms, where a lot of people who are on those platforms, they believe that the platforms cannot be used to say stuff that they don't believe in. So it's very interesting. So let's say I'm somebody who believe in, I'm very, very progressive, woke, BLM, etc. And I believe in the rights of a lot of minorities, and I believe that the minorities are more important than everybody else, etc. Let's say I'm that person, and I'm somebody that is also very aggressive. I go on Twitter, I have fights with people all the time. When I come to work at YouTube on the editorial, when I have to just make sure that nobody is saying crazy stuff. If I have somebody that don't like debate, that doesn't like debate, and somebody, whenever somebody disagree with me, I like to call them crazy, racist, etc. When I work on YouTube, can I bring this behavior on the platform? A platform that's supposed to be a platform for everybody, not just the left-leaning people, the left, center, and right. Everybody. The people who believe, the people who don't believe, the people who believe in God, the people who don't believe in God, the people who pray for this one, those who pray for that one, those who pray for these ones. It's supposed to be a platform for everybody. The people who are controlling what everybody is saying to make sure that those people are not saying crazy stuff are supposed to not bring what they feel in the mix when they control. Let's say I'm saying something that makes them crazy. They completely disagree with me, but I'm not against the law. I'm just having a different opinion. Whatever you feel should be out the door. It shouldn't be taken in account whenever you hear me talking. And the problem today is that there's a lot of people who work at Spotify, Apple, Disney, YouTube, and all these platforms that they want to force media in general to only go to with the people that agree with them, and everybody else that would say something opposite, they are trying to cancel them. And it becomes dangerous because all these people who fought for freedom of speech are now turning into people who are trying to censor everybody that don't agree with them, because it's a new generation that is coming, and it's not a generation like my parents. My parents come from a generation of diplomats, people who understand that, yeah, we disagree on something. We can, even when we are at war with other countries, we still have to sit down between diplomats and trying to find a solution. This is the job of the ambassadors. That's been the job of my father all his life. But now you even have the European Union, countries like France, etc. Everybody want to take one side, and nobody is trying to go to the side of the peace. And going to the side of the peace doesn't mean that we agree with the aggressor. It just means, okay, listen, you the aggressor, you are the aggressed, but still, there must be a way to have you guys sit down and stop this thing. No, let's send weapons, let's sanction, and so it feels like everybody is just trying to escalate because no one wants to talk anymore, and no one wants to let other people who disagree with them talk. And this is super complicated to be in this situation. And I believe, for better or worse, this is the reason why Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter for $43 billion so it can be transformed into a private company.